This is the Speras T3R hunting flashlight. So this is spec'd at 1600 lumens and with a range of just under 1100 meters. So this has got dual switches, tail switch and side switch. It also has built-in charging, so you've got Type C, USB Type C charging, and with a power bank function as well. It supports C to C charging also. This has got Luminus SFT40 LED with a smooth reflector. So this is in cool white. The build quality on this is very good. Anodizing is good. There's no issues at all. So it does have a few issues, but and I'll go over them in a second. But for the operation, you've got click for on, hold for off. So a lot of people don't really like hold for off, but for a hunting flashlight it is much better to have to click through the levels than hold and it cycle through, because if you're out there and you see an animal or you hear something, the last thing you want to be doing is holding the switch down to wait for it to cycle through the levels, because if you hold it slightly too long it might skip over high and drop down to the eco level, and you just don't want that. You want X amount of clicks. It gets you to the certain level that you want it to be. So click for on, then you've got eco, then your low, medium and high. And then you've got double click is the strobe. Then on the tail switch it will turn on your memorized level, and then you can hold for the momentary and then release and it drops back down to your memorized level. Double tap for the the strobe. So, and it's got momentary on the memorized level as well if you're just holding release. So you can lock out this light by holding both switches together, and that will lock the light out. 3 clicks to unlock. You're able to enable and disable the memory, and the memory is for the tail switch. So if it's enabled, it will remember the brightness that you select from the side switch, and if it's disabled it will always switch on turbo. So I feel that this would suit somebody looking for a long-range tactical flashlight as well, just because you can get instant turbo and instant strobe from the tail switch as well. And if you have memory mode enabled, you can have it on something like low or medium, and a hold of the switch will get you straight to the turbo as well. So yeah, that's excellent. This has what they advertise it as noiseless operation, which is from the switches, and it's just not noiseless at all. So I'm not sure why they advertise it as that. It's noiseless to me means no noise, and you can certainly, maybe it's just a bit quieter than a normal switch, but it's certainly not noiseless. And for the remote pressure switch here for this flashlight, you know, if they're advertising this as a noiseless flashlight and then they've got a remote switch that makes a very audible clicking noise, you know, there's just no point to it if you're going to use it with this anyway. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This remote switch works really well. There's no loss in output using it. But yeah, so this has a bit of, you can't see it on camera, but it has a bit of an artifact around in the beam. So you've got the hot spot in the center, and then around the hot spot is called the corona, and so around the edge of the corona is there's like some rings, and you can notice that out to about 50 meters, but anything beyond that and you just can't see that, so it's not really much of a problem, but it is there. The big negative to me is that it has a temperature step down on high. It's set at only 33 degrees Celsius, so that is very disappointing to see that. So if you're using this as just like a dedicated gun light, and you're only using it for really quick bursts on high to get that shot in, lining up your target, then that would be fine. But if you're using this as a searchlight and you're wanting extended use on high, this is just not going to do the job that you're wanting it to do. On medium, you can spot, you can identify an animal out to about 200 to 250 meters, and on high you can identify an animal out to about 500 meters. You're able to see further than that, but to properly identify an animal, it's about 500 meters. Yeah, so you don't want to, you don't want only 1 minute to be able to be searching around for your animal. If that's what you're using it for as a handheld light, you want a decent amount of time to search around. And this is only pushing 1600 lumens, so it's not driven hard at all. And that, I would like to see that set at about 50 degrees Celsius. I've seen some lights set at 65, and 33 is just it's just so limiting. Because if you live in a place that's quite warm, and you're up around 27 degrees Celsius at night, you're not going to be able to hardly use that high at all. So if Speras could bump that up to 50, then this would make an absolute ideal flashlight. It's just such a good operation. I love it, and the build quality is really, really good. Yeah, so I've got just a graph on runtime on high that I did, and then I've got my camera beam shots as well as the drone.